What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Upper Tier podcast and the Women's Wrestling Recap Weekly. And it is a good week for wrestling, to say the least, folks. As you can see, we'll get into it in just a bit. We are just 10 days out, officially 10 days out from AEW All in London in Wembley Stadium. Folks, if you're not subscribed to the channel, get subscribed now, like the videos, share the content. All the lads, including myself, are pumping out content each and every day for every one of yous. Whether you're into wrestling, NBA, football, any sports really, except tennis. We don't really follow the tennis or the golf, folks, because we're not very active people, are we? Hence why we do a podcast. I'm just outing us right out of the gate, folks. But as I said, welcome back to the show. A lot to talk about this week, surprisingly. We've had quite a short show the past few weeks, but plenty to talk about this week, to say the least. Let's get straight into it, folks. Let's take ourselves back to last Friday night. We all know, if you follow the show, you all know how happy I am about this. I am a massive Jacy Jane and a massive Fatal Influence fan. And last Friday on SmackDown, it was Tiffany Stratton versus Jacy Jane for the Women's United States Championship. And finally, Jacy Jane has taken the Women's United States Championship and has won her first singles title on the main roster, and I could not be happier about this. As I said, I'm a massive Fatal Influence fan. I think that they were a staple of NXT and the face of NXT for so long. And how do I say it? Jacy Jane has been in NXT for long enough. She was in NXT for 5 or 6 years. She's been there through the whole of the COVID era. She's been there when Toxic Attraction was around. She was a member of Toxic Attraction. And then after Mandy Rose got released, it was just her and Gigi Dolan, and turned her back on Gigi Dolan. They had a bit of a feud, and then, of course, Jacy went out on her own and started her own faction, where she was the leader and not just the side piece of the group and the less seen one of the group. She became the leader of what became Fatal Influence. And Fatal Influence has had a fantastic run on the main roster. Their NXT run was just out of this world, in my opinion. They were on TV every single week. They were on posters. They were just the it factor. And I really think that Jacy Jane is a future world champion, without a doubt. And I think if somebody doesn't see that in her, then you're entitled to your own opinion, but I think you're stupid if you don't think this woman is a future world champion. She's already working her way up. She was tag team champion several times. She was a 2-time NXT champion. She was a TNA Knockouts champion. And if I remember correctly, she was the first woman ever in history to hold both the NXT Women's Championship and the TNA Knockouts Championship at the same time. So she's been a history maker several times over, in my opinion, and in the record books. So I think it's only right she won the US title, and I'm hoping they push her to the moon with this run. I hope to give her a fantastic reign. I feel like tonight, considering she only won last Friday, I feel like tonight would be that kind of moment to get her name in there and hopefully give her a good run. So I'm praying WWE does something right by her. As I said, push her to the moon, get her out there, get her on the posters, get her on TV every week, give her everything. That's what I think, because she just is that it girl. She really is. So I guess we'll see how things work out tonight. Speaking of SmackDown and tonight, folks, while still on the topic of WWE, Blake Monroe finally makes her in-ring debut against Jillia tonight. And I don't know what to say. I'm still in shock that she's even having a match, because I love Blake Monroe. I loved her in NXT. I loved her in her previous life. I think her sister was in AEW under the name Mariah May. She was very, very good. One of my favorites in AEW history. But I was a big Blake Monroe fan and still am. But I don't know if fans are going to care tonight. And that sounds very bad to say, because you want fans to care so much, but you've waited so long to put her on TV that it's kind of just died down. No one really cares. So, look, I guess we'll see tonight. I'm rooting for Blake Monroe to win. And I'd love to see Blake to be the one to dethrone JC, maybe, or the one to dethrone, that's a mouthful, Chelsea Green at some point. So I guess we'll see. I feel like Blake is a future champion as well, a future world champion at that. But I'd like to see her win the US title too. So I guess we'll see. She had a bit of a feud going with Tiffany Stratton backstage over the past number of weeks. So now that JC has the US title, I feel like Blake will kind of gun for that. So I guess we'll see in the next few weeks. Now, folks, on a different topic, a topic we usually don't talk about on the show, and that is Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor is live tonight. Tonight? Yes, tonight. Sean's getting mixed up with his days. We've got some pretty good women's matches. I'm not going to lie. Deonna Purrazzo versus Steph DeLander for the Ring of Honor Women's Pure Championship. And I feel like this would be a fantastic match. If anyone has seen Steph DeLander's work on the independent scene, she was a staple of the women's division in any company on the independent scene for a number of years. And I think she is absolutely... Deonna Purrazzo is a very technical wrestler. So I think this match could turn out very nicely, to be honest. I don't mind Deonna Purrazzo retaining. I'd like to see Steph DeLander win to see what she can do at the title, because we all know since coming back, Ring of Honor hasn't been a strong brand at all. And dare I say, nobody really wants to watch it. So it got to the point where they were getting that low of views. Instead of paying for the app to watch the show, they were just putting it on YouTube for free just to get people to watch. And I think that kind of says enough about the brand, about the show. But I do think that apart from a few of AEW's wrestlers, I think it's just, as bad as it sounds again, the Ring of Honor roster is just full of independent wrestlers that nobody knows, that they've, I don't know, picked up from the dark side of the jungle in the Amazon far, far away, you know? It's just people we don't really know and have never really heard of. So, look, I guess that's a way to make a name for yourself. But then again, what's the point if they're just using kind of squash matches for, let's say, the main eventers or the top mid-card of Ring of Honor? So, look, we'll see how this match works out tonight. I'm kind of rooting for Steph DeLander, if I'm being honest. I'd like to see what she can do with the title. And to be honest, I don't think Deonna Purrazzo has had that great of a reign so far. She's had more backstage segments and promos than matches, which I think says enough for itself. And yeah, look, we'll see how it goes. This is another big one for me. We've got Athena versus Hazuki, I think, for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. I don't know if this is the person to beat Athena. I really don't. I don't think it's gonna happen. God damn it, my nose is so itchy. Apologies, folks. But I just don't think this is the person to beat Athena. I think if someone is going to, it's going to be a bit bigger of a name, like maybe, let's say, Deonna Purrazzo or Steph DeLander, or they bring someone over from AEW to defeat her. I'm kind of still thinking that all roads kind of lead to Billy Starks. That's just my opinion. I think after she lost in the title match against Athena and Athena retained, I think that was kind of a stepping stone in a longer lasting feud. So I feel like we're going to circle right back around to that and have Billy Starks defeat Athena for the title. Look, will I be mad at Athena winning? No. Not in this match, certainly, but it's overkill, folks. Let's be real here. Let's not sit and pretend that it's all rainbows and unicorns. It's not cotton candy type shit. Let's be real here. Athena has been champion or will be champion if she holds the title till December, till I think the second last week of December, maybe Christmas week. I think she will be champion for 4 years, give or take. 4 freaking years as champion. That's a joke, in my opinion. Look, I get maybe you want to build Athena up. You want to make her look like this. You want to make her look like the independent scene or the Ring of Honor or the AEW version of Roman Reigns and the female version of Roman Reigns at that. But it's absolute overkill. Having her hold the title for nearly 4 years is ridiculous. It's a joke. And you know what? Dare I say, Tony Khan should actually be ashamed of himself. Because you've essentially held that title hostage for 4 years. But yet everyone, and me included, I'm not saying I'm innocent, me included, complained when Jon Moxley held the AEW world title hostage for months. For I think 7 or 8 months he held the title hostage for. And we all give out about that, and rightly so. But he held that title hostage for 8 months. This girl has been holding that title hostage for nearly 4 years. Let's be realistic, folks. That, as I said, let's not sit here and pretend it's some cotton candy shit. It's bullshit. That's what it is. Let's be real. And I'm a big Athena fan. I like Athena. I think she's fantastic in ring. She can cut a good promo. And this is nothing against her as a wrestler or a person. I just think it's absolute feckin' overkill having her as champion for nearly 4 years when you've essentially held that title hostage, and you could have had 4 to 6 other champions in that time, give or take. Give or take. Depends on how long of a reign you wanted to give them. You could have had 3 or 4 other champions possibly, or more. It's a joke. I need to calm myself down, folks. I'm getting like Brain. I'm taking a page out of poor Brain's book. I'm getting too hot-headed too quick. The lads will be laughing their asses off at me getting this thick if they were here right now. So we'll cool off a little bit and head over to AEW. There's a little topic on AEW I want to talk about, folks. And as I said, we are 10 days out from AEW All In. And if you guys see us at the show, do not be afraid to come up and say hello. We love meeting you all. We love chatting with you about wrestling. So if you see me, Sean, Niall, Bryn, Dave, do not be afraid to come up and chat to us. I'm very excited for All In. I think the card is shaping up to be fantastic, and it will just be a great experience to be there. I was there in 2024 for All In, and I loved every bit of it. So it's going to be even cooler this time around. We're a lot closer to the ring. I think we're somewhere on the floor, so we have pretty good seats from what I can tell. So I am very excited. Just down below the 10 days until AEW card here, we've got a photo of the TBS champion Maya World. This is what I wanted to talk about. So let's just take a minute or two to talk about this. I've had quite a problem with this the past few days, and I'm not too happy about it. But when am I ever happy? When can wrestling fans ever be happy? Probably never. You can't please everybody. But if you take a look, and I don't have it here, but we'll do something towards the end of this week or next week with the AEW All-In card. If you look, there's no TBS title match. So in a card that is going to have essentially 8 to 12 matches, we have 2 women's matches on the card. 2. The AEW Women's World Championship, Mercedes Moné versus Willow Nightingale, and the AEW Women's World Tag Team titles, the Divine Dominion versus the Brawling Birds. Those are the only 2 matches we have. And the TBS title isn't being defended. So the TBS title was defended at All In 2 years ago, and it gets defended quite regularly, nearly every pay-per-view, or PLE, I should say. And yet it's not being defended at the biggest show of the year. Essentially, AEW's WrestleMania or Super Bowl, that being All In. And we're not getting the TBS title defended. I think it's pretty much a joke. And she has a match coming up Wednesday. I think a fatal 4-way for the title, or maybe that was last week. I could be getting mixed up here, folks. But I just think that it is a absolute joke, to say the least. Sorry, folks. Little bit of technical difficulties there. What would the Women's Wrestling Recap Weekly be without some technical difficulties? And that's okay. Look, as I was saying, folks, I just think Maya World should be defending the title. She's had a few matches on Dynamite, Collision, etc. And tomorrow night on Collision, she will be facing off against the AEW Women's World Champion, Willow Nightingale, for the World Championship. So it'll be a champion versus champion match. And that's kind of as close as she's getting to a big match. And I really hope, and that's not to say that we won't get another women's match on the All-In card, but I just really hope by the time All In rolls around next Sunday that we have another women's title match or another women's match in general, even if it's another number 1 contender match or something like that. I just think it'd look a lot better for the show, and yeah, overall gives the women some time on the card too, you know. Moving straight over to TNA, folks. Sunday, this coming Sunday, we have TNA Lockdown. We will see the Knockouts World Champion Zaya Brookside defend against Elena Black. So if anyone doesn't know what Lockdown is, it's basically where every match takes place in a steel cage. So it's really cool. It'll be a great show, something fun and exciting to watch. And I'm kind of rooting for Elena Black. I'm loving Zaya Brookside as champion, and I think Zaya should have a bit longer with the title. But I'd love to see what Elena Black can do with the title, because I am a big fan of her NXT days. So I think she could have a stellar Knockouts title run. And overall, I think this match will be fantastic. Nonetheless, I think both women will absolutely knock it out the park. And it's probably one of the matches I'm looking forward to most on Sunday. So, folks, as I said, don't forget TNA Lockdown is streaming this Sunday. You can watch it on the app, or you can just watch it on the app, folks. Watch it on the TNA Plus app. And then we move over. Now that Rosemary is injured, it will be Ali and a mystery partner versus the Elegance brand for the Knockouts World Tag Team titles. And this shall be very interesting because we don't have a clue who it could be. It could be someone that debuts. It could be someone new. It could be, we just don't know. It could be someone from the past, maybe. We just don't know. Look, I'm a massive Knockouts fan and a massive TNA fan. I always say I'm a massive fan of everything. I'm a massive fan of being a massive fan, you know? But I think it's time for TNA to debut some new Knockouts tag teams. 2 tag teams in the whole division. So we know it's either going to be the Elegance brand or Ali and her mystery partner because they're the only 2 tag teams in the division. So again, it's coming around to a hot potato with the tag team titles, and I'm just not really here for it. Look, TNA, give me a call if you need me to put on a wig, show up at Lockdown, I'll get a flight. I'll be Ali's mystery partner, and we'll get some fresh tag teams in the mix. That being me, Sean, or if we want to go the female route, Shauna. There we go, Shauna. Shauna and Ali versus the Elegance brand for the Knockouts World Tag Team titles. There we go. Look, overall, I think it should be a good match to say the least. And that's it for the show, folks. Look, a bit of a longer show this week. Nothing too special, nothing magical or out of this world, but a show to say the least, folks. As I said, like, comment, and subscribe, folks. You aren't leaving comments, folks, and that's okay. You're not obligated to, but do leave some comments and let me know what you think, because the feedback is always appreciated. And let me know what you think about these shows: Ring of Honor, TNA, AEW, WWE, AAW. What other companies do we have out there? OTT. Any company really, folks. Let me know what your opinions are, because I am more than happy to talk about it on the show. And yeah, if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Let's be real. Get subscribed. It's worth it. The lads are pumping out content each and every day for your entertainment. So do not be afraid to subscribe to be notified when we upload new videos or shorts. And folks, this is fantastic. That is indeed. Do it with me. You know the drill by now, folks. That is your chef's kiss for the week.